When UConn won the national championship last year, it was arguably one of the most dominant runs we've seen in the 64-team era. Behind three NBA guys in Jordan Hawkins, Andre Jackson, and Adama Sanogo, the Huskies breezed through their 6 tournament games, winning by an average margin of 20 points, and that was good enough to put them in elite company, as only 2009 North Carolina and 1996 Kentucky had larger average margins of victory en route to their respective titles. What made UConn's run even more jarring, though, was the fact that they were a 4 seed thanks to a shaky run in Big East play that saw them finish a pedestrian 10-8 in the conference. But still, if you had watched UConn all year, you would have known that this team was hiding in plain sight. They ran through the PK85, which included a dominant win over Alabama, who of course went on to earn the number 1 overall seed in the tournament, and they also ranked extremely well metrically, entering the tournament with the top 15 offense and defense. This year though, UConn doesn't have the luxury of sneaking up on anyone. And of course, that's been self-inflicted, because despite losing much of their championship core from last season, the Huskies have been downright awesome in 2024. At the current moment, UConn is ranked number 1 in the country, boasts a 17-2 record, and has convincing wins over the likes of Indiana, Texas, North Carolina, Gonzaga, St. John's, Creighton, and Villanova. In fact, you could argue that UConn is in an even better spot than they were a year ago, as they're currently projected to earn a 1 seed in the NCAA tournament, and look even more solid in their title defense than in their title chase. So let's learn more about the Huskies and see just how good of a chance they have to repeat as national champs. What makes UConn such a difficult team to play against first and foremost is their offensive movement. Whenever you watch any UConn offensive possession, you'll immediately notice that no one is standing still, and this puts constant strain on opposing defenses. Per synergy, UConn is one of the best cutting and screening teams in the entire country, as they'll have shooters fly off screens, they'll look for backdoors constantly, and they'll crash the offensive glass hard. Right now, UConn's offensive efficiency ranks 4th in the country per Bart Torvik, and everyone on the floor just seems perfectly in sync, which is very rare for a college team to pull off. Leading the Husky offense is point guard Tristan Newton. A 5th-year senior, Newton was a valuable starter for UConn's national title team last year, but this season he has really taken a leap, as he's averaging a well-rounded 15 points, 6 boards, and 6 assists per game. Newton plays with incredible composure as UConn's floor general, as he's able to get into the lane and make sound decisions both as a scorer and as a passer. He has one of the best floaters in college basketball, and he makes close to 46% of them, and this allows him to punish defenses at all 3 levels. While his overall percentages aren't great, he does enough to make defenses commit to guarding him all over the floor, and despite only making around 30% of his threes this year, he's very streaky and is comfortable taking shots when presented to him. And the hope is that as the season progresses, Newton will climb closer to that 36% three-point clip he posted a season ago. As a passer, Newton thrives as a pick-and-roll distributor and conductor, and his ability to pass shooters open and hit roll men really keep UConn flowing offensively. Watch here how Newton perfectly leads Karaban to the corner, who knocks down an open 3. When it comes to shooting, UConn has 2 major threats from behind the arc in Cam Spencer and Alex Karaban. Spencer is a transfer from Rutgers, and he has filled the Jordan Hawkins movement shooter role to a T. I mean, just watch the similarities between these two. It's uncanny. Spencer is one of the most annoying players in the country to guard because he just never stops moving. And when he's hitting 44% of his triples on the season, he just adds insult to injury. Spencer doesn't quite have the size or athleticism of Hawkins, but outside of that, he's been a perfect fit in the UConn offense. He's averaging a team-leading 15.5 points per game, and outside of his insane shooting gravity, he's also a very intuitive passer, as he averages a little over 3 assists per game. Karaban, on the other hand, is a big 6'8 wing and also thrives as an off-ball mover, just in different ways than Spencer. While Karaban is an excellent shooter who knocks down 40% of his threes in his own right, he really shines for UConn as a cutter towards the basket. Per synergy, Karaban shoots at an 85% clip off cuts this year, and he has a great feel for when and where to get open while maintaining UConn's spacing principles. Here, Karaban notices that his defender is playing aggressively in the passing lane, so he waits for Samson Johnson to clear the lane and then immediately backdoors his man for an easy layup. For being such a key offensive weapon for UConn, he averages 15 points a game on great efficiency. Karaban does a really good job at lulling defenders to sleep off the ball and finding pockets to take advantage of easy scoring opportunities. Watch here as he slips a pin down and then immediately dives to the basket once 2 defenders commit to Newton. UConn is also an elite transition team, and just anecdotally speaking, they are awesome at seizing momentum in the open floor. Their 1.198 points per possession in transition is a top 20 number in the country, and they boast a great blend of speed and composure when running the break. Whether it be spraying it to the wing for an open 3 or hitting the big for an open dunk, UConn once again just plays in total control and never seems to make mistakes. Another thing that UConn has going for them is that they have elite size, and this helps them both offensively and defensively. There's of course Donovan Clingan, who at 7'2" has earned the nickname Kling Khan from admirers, and while he's dealt with injuries for about a third of the season, he's still one of the most impactful players in the country thanks to his two-way presence. Offensively, Clingan gives UConn a viable post and lob option, as he's able to use his size to back down defenders and finish with a soft touch, and defensively, he's quite mobile and is a solid pick and roll and post defender, with his block rate of a little over 10% leading to Big East. Perhaps what's scariest about Clingan though, is that he could end up being even better by the end of the season, considering he'll get back to his normal conditioning levels and become more comfortable playing extended minutes. But even if it does take him longer to get back to 100%, UConn still has rangy 6'10" big man Samson Johnson, who has been a revelation in his expanded role this year, as he's an active rim protector and solid play finisher. While as a team, UConn's defense hasn't been as good as it was a season ago, they've had some individual games that suggest they can get back to their championship level. For example, against Creighton last week, the team was downright fantastic, as they were flying around, running Creighton shooters off the line, contesting shots at the rim, and creating turnovers for easy points in transition. And it's this level of activity that UConn should look to try and replicate. With athletic wings like Stephon Castle and Solomon Ball, and a ball hawk guard in Hassan Diarra, UConn is an extremely dangerous pressing team, and they can use that to speed opponents up and force turnovers. Per synergy, UConn only allows .607 points per possession in pressing situations, which is good for 9th in the country, and because of how deep they are from a roster perspective, they can wear teams down before they wear out themselves. Once again, as Clingan gets back to full form, I expect UConn's defense to be even better, as teams are shooting 6% worse at the rim with him on the floor. Before anointing UConn as 2024 champs, I think there's an interesting trend that's been happening with defending champions that's worth discussing. See, since Florida won their consecutive titles in 2006 and 2007, no one else has obviously repeated, but perhaps more importantly, no defending champion has even gotten back to the Elite Eight. Okay, get ready for a list. Starting in 2008, Florida didn't even make the tournament. In 2009, Kansas lost in the Sweet 16. North Carolina didn't make the tournament in 2010. Duke lost to Arizona in the Sweet 16 in 2011. UConn lost in the first round of 2012. Kentucky didn't make the tournament in 2013. Louisville lost in the Sweet 16 in 2014. UConn didn't qualify in 2015. Duke lost in the Sweet 16 in 2016. Villanova lost in the second round of 2017. North Carolina lost in the second round of 2018. Villanova lost in the second round of 2019. Virginia lost in the first round of 2021. Baylor lost in the second round of 2022. And finally, Kansas lost to Arkansas in the second round last year in 2023. Whew. Okay. So what this illustrates is that not only is it hard to repeat as champs, it's hard to even advance past a few rounds in the tournament the following season. Whether it be changing personnel, general tournament fatigue, or just plain luck, the odds of repeating are stacked against anyone, no matter how good a team is. But where I think UConn is different though, is that this team might actually be better than the one that won it all. They are certainly on track to get a better seed than their run in 2023, and if you revisit that list, it's pretty rare that's the case. Among the teams I just listed, only 4 had a seed equal to or better than what they were in their title-winning years, and if UConn continues down this path and earns a 1 or a 2 seed, they'd be the only defending champ to increase their seed line by 2 or more the following year since 2007 Florida. In college basketball, we tend to look at seasons as individual entities, and with the lack of roster continuity that's become more and more prevalent in recent years, that of course makes sense. In the NBA, you can have a team together for several years and go through the playoff struggles and losses before ultimately winning a championship. In college, you don't often get that luxury, and it feels like you start every season from scratch. But with UConn, that doesn't really seem like the case. Instead, they've almost built upon that 2023 title, making them even more dominant now than they were then. And yeah, there are some guys that have moved on, but in spite of that, it doesn't really seem like this team has stopped getting better. And that bodes extremely well for the 2024 NCAA tournament. Thanks so much for watching, and give me your thoughts below.